Reading between the panels. If I asked you to think of a female comic book character, what would she look like? Does she have beautiful features, a curvy yet athletic body, and happen to be wearing some type of skin tight outfit while she backs up her male lead counterpart? Do images of characters such as Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Harlequin, Wonder Woman, Storm, Miss Marvel, Zatanna, Power Girl, or She Hulk come to mind instead of images of Betty and Veronica? Why is it that when you look at female comic book characters today, they're either there to serve as a support character for the male hero or villain, or are eroticized, or even both? However, this wasn't always the case. Female characters first started to be stereotyped into support roles in comic books during the Silver Age. The reason this started happening was due to the implementation of the Comics Code and DC Comics' in-house editing policy in regards to the portrayal of women. This policy stated the inclusion of females in stories is specifically discouraged. Women, when used in plot structure, should be secondary in importance and should be drawn realistically without exaggeration of feminine physical qualities. In other words, this became what Richard Dreier described as stereotyping through structure, in which stereotypes are established by the function of the character, in this case, women as secondary characters. Although with the rise of feminism and shifting public attitudes towards sexuality, publishers started to put out more progressive comics, and by the end of the 80s, most publishers, except for a few, abandoned the Comics Code, although not before leaving a permanent mark on their respective comic book universes. Unlike the change in the function of female characters in comic books, the change in how they were portrayed artistically was based in economics. In other words, they changed the way they drew female characters based on the fact that they wanted to capitalize on the shift in their readers' demographic. For example, before the 70s, the average comic book reader was female, not male. But during the 70s and 80s, this demographic reversed. To capitalize on this increased male demographic, publishers decided to sex up their characters. To put it differently, in order to capitalize and further capitalize on their new demographic, publishers decided to start drawing their female characters in a way coded for a strong visual and erotic impact. This was to convey what Mulvey calls to be looked atness, in order to exploit male desire by offering male readers the pleasure of scopophilia just by looking at the female characters. The effects of stereotyping and eroticizing of female characters can still be seen today. This clip from the movie Batman and Robin of Poison Ivy, played by Uma Thurman, doing a seductive dance is a clear example of the director trying to capitalize on male desire through the eroticization of Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy character. On the other hand, examples today of the stereotyping of female characters into secondary support roles seem to have been more permanent, due to the fact that comic book writers have to write from the canon of whatever universe they're writing for, whether it is DC or Marvel. To illustrate, this is why Batgirl is Batman's sidekick, Pepper Potts is Tony Stark's secretary, and why Harlequin will always support the Joker. Another example would be how Catwoman is not considered an independent villain, but is rather marginalized to be Batman's on and off again love interest. So, to bring it all together, our perception of eroticized and stereotyped female comic book characters today came about over several decades and choices by the industry to capitalize and make money off a new and continually growing demographic, while also trying to be more progressive, even though the effects of the past can still be seen today.